think the first thing to really understand about the challenge of building an innovative organisation is to remember that the job of a leader is to empower the people who work with them and for them. This idea of service leadership is really important to me. Because if what you have is an organisation where people expect the innovation, the ideas, the systems and the structures to come top down, then people will behave to the expected behaviours. So one of the really important things is to make sure your culture from day one is about opening up the opportunities for questions, for reflections, for people wherever they are in the organisation to be able to feel that they can have a say, and if they have an idea, they can share that idea. So there's a real interesting piece to be had around the nature of leadership and management, not just from the top, but through all layers of leadership and management. So that sense of empowerment is extremely important. The other thing for me is to remain committed to constantly broadening people's horizons. So never getting trapped into the situation where people are siloed into a job description that they fulfill day after day after day. That we have to recognise that to create innovation and energy, people have to be given the opportunity to be stimulated, to be challenged, and to constantly have fresh, new, interesting ideas. So those would be the things for me that I would suggest you need to be initially cognizant of if you're truly trying to build that innovative culture. One of the really interesting points again, and it kind of feeds off the response to the first question, we're culturally raised to believe that somebody hierarchically more important than us will be the person whose job it is to find solutions, right? So we're kind of conditioned and trained into that. So the idea of autonomy you can conveniently step out of in the belief that actually that's not my pay grade, that's not my job, that's what they're paid more money for, that's why they have the status. So one of the really important things for me is to build that culture of action research, to build a culture where you are expecting people to question and challenge for themselves. And most importantly of all, and it takes time, culture shift takes time, moving people away from the idea that it's acceptable to say, that's a great idea, but. Because the but often allows people to get away with not going deeper into an issue or trying to find a potential solution. So for me, one of the things I remember hearing many years ago is the idea for leadership to use the 2-for-1 analogy, as I call it, which is if somebody has a problem, the expectation is they can only go to a line manager if they have 2 potential solutions. The point is those solutions don't necessarily have to end up being the right ones, but it changes the entire nature of the conversation and the relationship. So there has to be an expectation within the culture of our organisation. Constantly, people are looking for the gaps between the obstacles so that they can engage in a conversation. Just saying there's an obstacle, solve it to somebody, I think we have to be quite hardline around in terms of our leadership and management and say that isn't part of the culture of the way we operate. One of the things for me about the role of leadership is your job as the custodian of a vision. But that's not just in terms of having easy language and easy things to say, and at our company we do this and we are this and this is how we want to be. The real challenge is to be the custodian of a vision and have the ability and the cognizance to make sure that your vision is both eloquent and shared and communicated, but maybe even more challengingly is put into action. One of the things that's really important is when you look at job dissatisfaction in many organizations, the number one reason why people feel dissatisfied in their work is because the leadership have an inability to A, communicate and B, enact a vision. And so we have to make sure that that's a challenge for leaders, that actually vision sees itself in practice. So that's about exploring and ensuring that performance management systems underpin that structure of vision. Professional development opportunities underpin the vision for, what you're setting out as a vision. So the internal culture is strong and real and authentic, because nothing's more damaging to an organization than people within the organization feeling that the leadership is suffering from inauthenticity, because that's when you start to breed resentment, contempt, and cynicism. And those are often the most dangerous poisons within a company.